Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Fountain Pen Showdown Day. Two fountain pens that look very, very similar. The first one, the Jinhao 100. Just love this white colour. That's going up against a Kaigelu 316a. Again, I love this colour. Both really like Parker duofold style pens, so very, very similar in looks. Join me now down on the mat. We'll take a look through the pens, we'll do some size comparisons, weights and measures, a writing sample, then I'll give you my thoughts on these pens. Welcome down to the table. So here's our pens, the Jinhao 100 Centennial and the Kaigelu 316a. Both very similar looking pens, they're both Parker duofold style clones. Let's take a closer look through the pens. The Jinhao 100, we'll start with that. At the top here we've got a gold medallion with, looks like a chariot being pulled by some horses. That's inset into this plastic. Nice white colour here. That tapers out a little bit till we get to this gold ring here for the clip. Again, we've got a logo, the Jinhao logo at the top, and we've got a very nice springy clip. The rest of the cap, it's the same width all the way down in the same gorgeous like cracked white, is it maybe a white salt type material. The bottom, we've got a fairly wide gold ring. In there, we've got Jinhao. Just turn this around for you. We come back to the front. The metal clip looks like it's tapering down slightly. We have a step down then into the body. Again, this gorgeous cracked white salt colour. To me, it seems to be the same width all the way down. Near the end, where we've got this gold ring, it does seem to taper down a little bit. You can feel the change. If you run your finger along, you can feel the change of direction about here. Then we come into this white end cap. It's fixed in place. And that's just got white again at the bottom. Very, very simple. The Kaigelu 316a. The top, we've got another medallion. This one, it actually looks like it's got a plastic cover over it. In there we've got the kangaroo with the joey sticking out. A sharper taper now down to the gold ring. The gold ring is thicker than what we see on the Jinhao 100. The clip again also a different shape. I find this one very hard to get hold of, whereas with the ball on the end of the 100 makes it easier to get hold of that. I do prefer the material, I've got to be honest, in this Kaigelu 316a. Pretty colour. It's green, I would think that then. We've got the same width all the way down to this thin metal ring. The thin metal ring there, that's got engraving on it. Doesn't have any writing though. Then we've got some more plastic that's tapering down. We've got again a little step down into the body. The body on here is slightly translucent, so you can actually see the converter inside it. Again, though, it's still the same green colour. Same width. Again, as with the 100, when we get down to about here, you can feel it taper down till we get to the metal ring. And then we've got that plastic end cap again. Very, very similar pens, aren't they? You know, if we put them next to each other, apart from the fact, obviously, the different colours and the clips and this ring, the rest of the pen looks very similar. Let's take off the caps. So we go half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Nearly 3 turns to take the cap off the Jinhao 100. With the 316a, half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Again, 3 turns nearly. That reveals 2 very similar looking nibs. So on the Jinhao 100, we've got a standard Jinhao nib, a silver looking border going around the outside. I do like it, the fact it's got that little 2-tone detail to it. We've got the breather hole, we've got the chariot logo, Jinhao, And then the thing which always makes me laugh, 18k GP. I'd be extremely surprised if that was 18 karat gold plating. With the 316A, got a slightly different looking nib. Still a number 6 nib, so they're both the same size nibs. Here we've got more of a silver nib with gold coloured detail. So we've got a gold coloured border. I like the little bit of fanciness we get on the border, especially up here. Just adds a little bit of detail to it. The breather hole. Below the breather hole we've got the kangaroo. That looks like it's sitting on some mountains. Really nice. I like both of these. Look at the sections. The sections virtually identical. Same length. The only thing I would say that's different, on the Jinhao it seems to quickly taper in and then slowly taper out. Whereas here on the Kaigelu 316a it seems more rounded, so it's got, to me, more of a rounding coming out. Both the pens, cartridge converters, both the pens came with a converter. I've got pen pieces running all over. One thing I'm going to say, the Kaigelu pen, this converter to me, it doesn't seem and feel very secure in the pen. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on. So I have had times where if I've shaken it a little bit, that converter has actually come out. So it's something for you to be aware of. I'll pop these back together and then we'll take a look at some size comparisons. We'll start with the standards, the Pilot Metropolitan, Lamy Safari. The Metropolitan, slightly shorter than both the other. Safari, slightly longer. The Metropolitan, you can see, very thin compared to the other two pens. And the Lamy Safari, width-wise, looks very similar to what we're seeing with these. So very much of a muchness. Let's pop the caps off. With the caps off, the main thing you can see, obviously the nibs are different. But in terms of length, both the 100 and the 316A are actually shorter than the Metropolitan. Let's try posting these. With the pens posted, again, they both roughly the same length. They look quite long though, don't they, this Jinhao 100 and the Kaigelu 316A. They do not post very well. They just post onto this little cap here. That's the same on both of them. So you can actually see the metal ring. And you can see I have to really push it to get it to post. Posted, wow, that's long and heavy. Feels very back heavy. Unposted is nice, feels very nice. Nice width to it. Same with the 316A. Unposted, it's massive. Bit like a magic wand, isn't it? But unposted, looks quite nice. Again, I have to push that to actually get it to stay on. Otherwise, it doesn't post at all. Let's swap on over and we'll look at pens in roughly the same price range. The pens that I brought in a Wingsung 698. That was 24 Aussie dollars. The Jinhao 100 Centennial, this one was 25 Aussie dollars. You need to be careful with all these Chinese pens when looking for them. They vary in price quite considerably. You also need to have a look because some, they come with free shipping, but others, they've got shipping on top. So just be aware of that. The Kaigelu 316a, that was 35 Aussie dollars. Now I bought both of these roughly the same time. There was a $10 difference in price. The other pen I brought in is a Kaigelu Sport, 35 Aussie dollars, so same price as the Kaigelu. Not showing them posted, we know they don't look very well posted. The Kaigelu Sport is designed to be used posted, which is why I've done that. Let's swap over and pop the caps on. With the caps on, the Wingsung a little bit longer. The one thing to note, the differences between these pens, the Wingsung 698 piston filler. Both the Jinhao 100 and the 316A, they're cartridge converters, as we've already seen. The Kaigelu Sport, although it's possible to get a mini cartridge converter for it, doesn't hold a lot of ink. So generally, I find it's best to use this with a cartridge, and all I do is refill the cartridge with whatever ink I want to use. Let's swap on over and do some weights and measures. Here we've got the rule of measuring. We'll start with the Jinhao 100. So I'll fetch that one in. So in terms of length, 13.8 centimetres. Unposted, 12.6 centimetres. Posted, as I say, it doesn't post very well, but it's possible, 17.3 centimetres. The width of the body, that's 1.29 centimetres. The cap, 1.5 centimetres. And then the section goes from 1 centimetre down here, and it goes all the way up to 1.11 centimetres. With the Kaigelu, 13.7 centimetres. That's 1 millimetre difference. Could be down to the way I was measuring it. I don't measure using a rule. I actually measure using some calipers. So I always make sure to allow there could be a little bit of difference. Unposted, 12.6, so exactly the same. Posted, that comes in at 17.7, about 4 millimetres longer. And then if we look at the body, 1.3, so that's 0.1 of a millimetre difference. The cap, 1.5, identical. The section goes from 1 up to 1.10. So again, we're talking a difference of 0.1 of a millimetre. All intents and purposes, they're identical in terms of size. Let's swap on over and fetch in the scales of weighing. Here we've got the scales of weighing. We'll start with the Jinhao 100. 28 grams. Body only, 16 grams. Cap, 12 grams. The 316a, 27 grams, so 1 gram different. Not a lot, is it? 17 grams and 11 grams. So ever so slightly, and I'm talking literally 1 gram lighter. But I know it sounds weird. When I hold them in my hands, I can feel that 1 gram difference. Let's swap on over and fetch in the notepad of testing. Here we've got the notepad of testing, Oxford optic paper. Love this paper, it's nice, fountain pen friendly. So we start with the Jinhao 100 Centennial. It's got a medium nib, and as we've already said, 25 Aussie dollars. The ink, Kirby, number 60. Foreign, Museum, Mint. This is a sample I've had, to be honest, I've had it about 2 years, and I've struggled to even think about it when I've been inking pens up. So when I thought I'm going to do this test, and we've got green there, I put the same ink in both pens. That means our test, the only difference now is actually the pen. Drying times, immediate. 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. Still a little bit of wetness, but not enough for me to do a 2-minute test. Let's move the mic down to the page and we'll write a statement. That's very nice. Although it looks wet, it does feel a little bit on the dry side to me. Line variation. There's no pressure. That's got some pressure, so we are seeing a slightly wider line. None, with, none, with, none, and with. So there is a little tiny bit of softness to this nib. Flow, this is going one way. And then this is going the other way. Quite nice, and as we can see in our writing, we have got some nice shading coming through. Let's move on up the page ever so slightly. Then we'll do our other writing. I just want to leave, let me just fetch that down a little bit. So here we've got the Kaigelu 316a. So Kaigelu 316a, also a medium nib, and this was 35 Aussie dollars. The ink is Kobe number 60, Foreign Museum mint. Drying times, so immediate, 10 seconds. Looks like it's nearly dry. 30 seconds. 30 seconds, that's dry. So we can see we've got the same ink, same paper, so the only difference is the pen. We can see a lot of difference there in wetness. Let's move the mic down and write that sentence. Line variation, so there's no pressure, that's got some pressure. None, with, none, with, none, and with. So again, we are seeing a little bit of line variation. Flow, this is demonstrating one of the issues I've got with this particular pen and ink, how inconsistent the flow is. Let's move this out of the way. I'm going to fetch in some Tomoe River paper, 52 GSM paper. So we'll start here with the Jinhao 100. So if we're looking at this, you know, it looks all right, doesn't it? It looks quite nice. We've got nice consistent flow all the way down. But if I move on over to the 316a, you know, same ink, but look what's happening. We start off a bit pale, then all of a sudden it gets dark, it gets darker, and then it starts to get very light again. And then we get dark, and then we go light. Very, very inconsistent. And we saw that here on the writing sample. Started off all right, but then very quickly we started to lose the ink. So that's something I have noticed. And I'm not sure if it's only this particular ink, because when I previously used this pen, I don't recall seeing this same issue. It's time for my thoughts on these pens. Well, pen looks, they look very similar, don't they? The same shape, same size, little tiny differences there, you know, like this tapers out more than that. We've got, you know, the ring there, the clip's different. I really like the colouring of the 316a. I know it's green, but it just looks so much nicer. Slightly translucent, not sure what I think about that. I think it looks quite nice because sometimes it's nice just to be able to see through, see that converter. The 100, you can see I've got staining on it. You see this pink band running around here. That's from a red ink that I had in earlier on, and it's actually stained the material. Even here on the section, it's got a bit of pink staining. And that's after I disassembled everything and put it through a sonic cleaner. You know, it's already stained enough that it won't clean off. So that's something I have to be aware of. But that's similar with all my white pens. They all seem to do that same staining issue. Build quality? Yeah, both nice. Both the same, really. They're good quality. The only thing I'm going to point out, as I said earlier, there we are. The converters come out. So that converter doesn't sit very well at all. And I think that's part of the reason why we get this issue coming out here. So that's something I need to be very aware of when using this pen. Writing experience, not too bad. I've really got to knock 316. You know, it's just so horrible. I couldn't be sat in a meeting with a pen going like that, and I couldn't be having to constantly be going in and re-plugging that converter in. Not really very suitable for anything other than the odd quick note sat at my desk at home. The 100, yeah, it's all right. Very nice, very consistent. Got this nice shading coming through. Good ink flow. Bad ink flow. Comfort, well, they're the same size. They're more or less the same weight. You know, in terms of comfort, no difference between them. They're nice. I can hold these and use these for hours on end when I'm taking notes. Value for money. I love my Jinhao 100s. This was the third one I've got. I've got one in blue and I've got another one in the meteorite pattern. Really nice. I say they're consistent. I've been lucky so far. I've never had a bad nib, never had any issues with them. The 316a, I've got to be honest, I don't intend to get any more. You know, it's nice. I say it's virtually the same as the 100, but it's $10 more. It's got an issue with the converter. That to me is not on. A converter should just plug in. What I may try, and that's something to try at a later time, is just using a different converter rather than using the provided Kaigelu one. It could be that particular converter is just not a good fit. But the pen that I bought, which is what we've got here, I've got to be honest, I'm not overly impressed by the value that I've got. You know, good enough build quality. The converter, that converter is what lets it. So they're my thoughts on the Jinhao 100 Centennial and the Kaigelu 316a, both with Kobe number 60 Foreign Museum mint. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you got either of these pens, what are your thoughts on them? How would you compare them against each other? Now I know there's also a Kaigelu 316, and there's a number of other pens which, let's be honest, look very similar. Would you like to see me doing some more comparisons? You know, getting some more pens that look very similar to this? I would love to get a Parker Duofold, but to be honest, it's right outside of my price range. Please drop any comments down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.